Ciao Juventini and welcome to the All Juve cast. Usually I do Buona Mattina Bianconeri and we come at you in the evening and we recap the day's news surrounding Juve, and then we get to previews of matches and questions from Juventini. All right. Now we're going to have a special guest. I was scheduled to have Lewis Vito, but he's MIA. But I got my man Eric joining me again. Eric, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Sorry that this couldn't be Lewis for all the viewers and followers. You guys got to listen to my shit takes again. So.
No, it's good. It's good. Lewis has the link. I think I don't know what his deal is. It's 5:30 a.m. over there and 8:30 for Lewis. So Lewis, wake up, buddy. Get over here.
Yeah, he's in the same time zone I am, so no excuse.
Yeah, we got a full slate though, Eric. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I know you and I got involved in a really good discussion about just like player ads and whatnot. But there's a lot to kick off, and we'll just get right into it. And the first one, right out of the gate, I put a poll question out there on Twitter. I wanted to know how Juventini felt about what we need to add first, a playmaker or a striker, or where we stand. I definitely agree with you during this conversation because, we definitely need to make the best out of what we have. But I still do feel there's just a certain set of skills that we need. But it was about 80-something% in favor of getting a playmaker. And then, of course, we get the Dybala injury, a little knock in training or whatnot. And this now kind of started to change things. And I started seeing a lot of Juventini saying, okay, no, striker's going to be the most important. And then obviously we have a list of players, which we will get to after this. But I want you to share your thoughts because it was a really good conversation. So playmaker or striker, how do you feel?
Prior to Dybala's injury, I was still on board with a striker.
Okay. So you still thought striker prior. And I did, I did too, in the sense that Morata, I think it's Morata for me. He shows you how important, the way he interprets that role, how he plays in this setup. When he's out, I think we suffer the most, arguably outside of Matthias de Ligt being in or out of the lineup. I think he's the one that you can 100% notice we're essentially almost lost positionally up top without him.
Yeah.
So striker for you. Now, here's the list, and Juventini are kind of humming and hawing, going everywhere. There's going to be a lot of rumors flying around, but you got Milik, Belotti, or even Mandzukic being thrown out there. Let's get your touch on these three players and what you think in terms of fitting. We're not going to get into whether it'll work or whether the deals can get done, but just these three profiles and our team currently and what you think.
Just from best to worst, I think Gallo should be an obvious number one. To me, Mandzukic would be two, and then Milik should be third. I don't know if we have time to get into the whys, but Belotti, Mandzukic, Milik. Okay, yeah, we do. So
get into the whys.
To me, Belotti is the obvious choice. He's a younger striker. He's still a very dominant striker. He's in an unfortunate situation with Torino and them just not being a very good squad. And I don't want to talk bad about them. It's just they can't seem to put it together. And he has the exact qualities that we need. It would be a seamless transition for a player like Belotti to come in, Alvaro to go out. The only issue that you're going to deal with that is that now you have two guys who are used to starting. So rotation is going to play a role in that. Mandzukic, I don't care how old he is. He's a born winner. He's got the attitude. And I think he would be perfect to be the guy to come off the bench because of his age. He plays that role well. He has experience playing with Cristiano Ronaldo. He has chemistry with the guys that we have on the pitch, most of them, not all. And I think he would serve his purpose as a rotational player, not a full-time guy, but he would serve his purpose. And then in Milik, I don't know. I've never been in favor of him, to be honest with you. I know that he had a couple of good games with Napoli. He stretched the games together, but his wages would be ridiculously high. I know a report just came out this morning. I don't know the credibility of it, of a 5-year deal for like $5 or $6 million. Still, to me, when you look at our wages and who we're paying, I think that still puts him at the top tier list at $6 million a year. And that's just, to me, it's not worth investing that money in a stopgap striker that's coming off a bench.
Yeah. I mean, Mandzukic, I love the guy. I just don't, even how things kind of went down, I just don't know if it's right, whether he would even accept it or not. But like, I mean, when it comes to the fight, the spirit and everything like that, and being about the stripes, Mandzukic is the guy 100%. Is he gonna fit though? And that's like, I think about it and I seem to flip back and forth in my own mind whether he's going to fit or not, and the thing is, we got to think about this. We still are uncertain with Morata's future because it is a hefty amount of money. He's hit the ground running with us. He's only had one bad match, but yeah, he's doing very well. The other thing is, do you make like a 5-year commitment on a Milik when you still are uncertain about what you're going to do with Morata, right? Because if we are going to say we want to make it a permanent on Morata and we seal the deal there, I would be more inclined to get somebody young that we can, rotate in there or whatnot and put more finances elsewhere, right? Because we do have some holes. We know we have some holes. So a lot of it's up in the air because I think now all of a sudden, if you do finalize something for, like a Milik or something, you might find yourself handcuffed come later on in the year because you made this move in January, right? So, and the same could be said whether people believe we need a playmaker or whatnot. You're in the same boat. You got to be very, very careful. As far as Belotti, you see here, Divine Favor Robinson, Belotti is the only reasonable name. I got into a good conversation with a Juventino yesterday, and he said that Belotti comes and he benches Morata. And I want to know what you think about that statement. And if Belotti joined, would he end up is he better than Morata in your eyes, just player to player? Because I think it's super, super close. And as far as it's hard to see Belotti in our system matching Morata. I think he would do great in our system, but would he end up being the guy and benching Morata? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I can't, concretely say he's better than Alvaro Morata. Matter of fact, I see Belotti as more of the guy that we need in the 10 role to keep Alvaro and Cristiano forward, even though he plays more of a 9 because of his dirty work. Alvaro's not going to be that guy. Alvaro's not going to get his hands dirty, but Belotti will. So he, to me, would be a guy that you can probably put centrally and allow him to be the guy who does all the hold-up play and then keeps Cristiano and Alvaro forward. So it's hard for me to say that he's going to bench Morata because I think they, as similar as they are, they still have very unique skill sets that are very different. And then one other thing about him that I made mention is that it's not that I don't think he would come to our club. I think he's just got too much love and admiration for Torino that I don't think he would do that to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Yeah, it'd be an interesting one. There has been higher profile moves of players leaving rivals and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Divine Favor Robinson also adds in he's got a better goal ratio than Murata. Absolutely. The thing is too is it's impressive this season to see the numbers he's putting up on such a bad squad. Like Torino is a bad squad.
But he's the guy. So
Yeah.
numbers are going to be in a little bit more favor than when you have a guy like Cristiano that you're playing alongside with. So
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Jesus, how many offsides and stuff did he get taken away? Morata's he's been deadly too. The finishing's been great. He's got some moments. I think my only knock sometimes on Morata is not greedy enough in certain circumstances and trying to slip balls over to CR there a couple times, but that's really my only knock so far. It'd be interesting to see how this develops, but in terms of the playmaker side of things, this is where we had a really good discussion because you and I, it's hard. I think the answer lies somewhere in the middle, but it was like I still feel we were just missing that guy that's going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck in the midfield. And you're more along the lines of we have that guy, we just haven't developed it yet or worked it as a unit. So it's interesting. Like I said, I 100% don't believe there's right or wrong in this thing, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle because I have been saying it for a while prior to this that the unit wasn't working in the middle of the park with some of these guys we had before. I think now it's something I've been saying for a while, whether it's the system, the guys we have, but it works better with certain combinations. But I can't help but feel that, man, I can't help but feel we still just miss these traits and that we're trying to get guys, which is something we've done for a while, whether it be Pjanic come to us as an attacking mid and we drop him back as a regista, having all these guys in there. I think we are just a set of traits and abilities away in the middle there. I think we can make a good, solid unit, but I still don't think we just have that guy. Again, we had a great discussion. Start sharing your thoughts on that, and we'll get this going and see what everybody joining us thinks.
Okay, so for me, it's 3 coaching staffs in 3 years, and we seemingly still have the same issues, but we've had new players come in. For me, specifically with Pirlo, it's his groupings, his pairings that he's putting out there, whether we like it or not. He's still having to tinker with only being 15, 18 games in. He's still learning this team. He's still learning the squad. So that's why, personally speaking, I don't like to look elsewhere. You have to look in who do we have in the locker room? You have to look at that. We have to figure out a way to make it work because I think this idea of, well, this isn't working or this isn't working, let's go grab somebody. That to me is hitting a panic button. That to me should not be option A. And it just seems to be what we as a fan base resort to. Hey, this doesn't seem to work. Let's go grab a guy that does work. And, Kulishevsky is a prime example of going to get a guy because things haven't worked, bringing him in, and then you see the result. So for me, what I don't like is that we've gone through a series of formations, all very similar to one another, 3-4-1-2, 3-1-4-2, 3-5-2, 4-4-2. And I think the formation itself is not allowing us to maximize what we can produce. I'm in favor of a 4-3-3. I think our midfield is built for 4-3-3. We have Metsalas that I think would really help with just being in the center of the park, adding offense. I think adding a third player forward is pretty imperative, and that's what we've been sacrificing. We went from having 3 strikers or 3 offensive players at the top in the final third to only having 2 in order to kind of help with controlling the center of the pitch. And so there's a lot of variables that you have to look at before you just say, hey, let's go grab a playmaker, because there are things that we still need to work through and we need to see before we can go, hey, okay, we're finally playing at this level. That playmaker is going to get us here. And I just don't think that we've hit that ceiling yet. So until we hit the ceiling, I don't like the idea of trying to search elsewhere.
Yeah. Those are great points. Real quick, we're going to say hi to our boy Giuseppe.
Hey, Jose.
We got Pixro joining in here, man. Raphael, good to see you, buddy. And Jorge, good seeing you boys all join here. So, yeah, Eric, you touch on a lot of good points. I do believe we haven't seen just everything yet with what we have. For me, though, as far as the playmaking side of things, based on how Pirlo's system works, right? So we know that 4-4-2 base, and either one of those sides, right or left, and we'll get into what it should be with Parma here, but right or left will slide up. It'll turn into 3 back. One of those 3 midfielders will be more forward than the other, at times 2. So for me, just from what I've seen out of the team, the guys that are the ones getting advanced, it's always that cutting edge play at the end, that whether they don't have the vision, because there are moments where they don't even see it.
Right.
Certain progressions or where the ball needs to go. There's runs not being rewarded, and sometimes just the quality of that final pass or whatnot. Now, the quality of the final pass and stuff like that could be game to game, as sometimes guys are more dialed in or whatnot. But I still just can't help but feel, when we see the guy like even Ramsey, for instance, I think Ramsey's really been hit and miss.
Yeah.
Sometimes he plays the role completely different. So I feel like, Ramsey could be so good, but it's just not quite always there, right? McKennie, I think McKennie's a very balanced player. I really, really like McKennie. Also ended up getting a U.S. Men's Player of the Year award, which is great. He's been a solid addition. They're already talking about, making it a permanent move. We'll get more into that later, but Kulusevski, and you touched on Kulusevski. He's kind of the last guy that I'm kind of hoping to see there, and you called me out on it because I've been shouting for a while. I hope he can do it. I think he's got the ability to, because earlier on in the season, there was moments where he was the guy sniffing out those runs, making those passes. He connected on a beautiful run of play with Morata and then Chiesa on a goal earlier on in the season, and I could see him being that guy. We may end up seeing that today, which would be fantastic. But outside of him, man, I can't help but feel when we have to go that route that we're trying to put that square piece of a puzzle into a circular hole, like it just seems like we're trying to do that. And if you really look across our lineup, we kind of do that a bit, and historically almost for years, right? So that's just kind of how I feel. And like I say, you've got great points too, and I think somewhere along the middle it lies there. We need to hope that one of our guys can come through and kind of just take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and give us that, because we need it.
I feel like players have done that. In certain matches, players have completely shown that they're worthy, and then Pirlo will make 5 to 6 changes. And it's almost as if it's not that he's rewarding other players playing time. It's almost as if he's punishing players that have been putting good foots forward. And I'm gonna ride this to the wheels fall off. Is that you mentioned not rewarding certain runs. When Chiesa has been on the right flank, like as a right wing back taking over for Cuadrado, we have been rewarding those runs. So there to say that we don't have certain playmakers, I just don't think is completely accurate, because we do. The Aaron Ramsey thing, me and you have talked about this in the past. The thing that I have an issue with Ramsey is we try to do just a little too much in the final third. He might take that one extra touch or that one extra pass, or they try to do, Cristiano does it all the time. Stop with the back heels and sometimes just beat your man one-on-one. Yes. So there's always, they seem to try to compensate and try to just do a little too much, when sometimes doing less is more. And that's my issue. And then in terms of taking and Kulishevsky, when you look at what he did at Parma last year, he was a right winger in a 4-3-3 in most of the games. I know that they kind of moved him all around, but they played a very counter-esque style, and he was the beneficiary of being a right winger on a team that they could basically just release him forward. So he's not used to just playing with the right back behind him. So he's been kind of playing out of position. He's not used to a 4-4-2 formation as a right winger with no support behind him. So there's a lot of things that it's like that's the point that I'm making, is that systems can play a huge role in success of players, and he's an example of that. And I don't know if you want to answer Jorge's answer there.
Yeah, well, we will for sure, because he's asking, so we'll just get into the actual players and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, I totally get what you're saying and whatnot. When we look at midfields in general, this is why I say it lies somewhere in the middle, because you can't just put 3 players out there and say, this is our midfield. We will get this guy to do this part of it. He will be able to do it. You have to have your ball winner. You have to have someone that's just your plug that'll go out there, win you the ball, and then get it to your quarterback, so to speak, right? And then one guy that's pulling the strings or whatnot. And you got to have your box to box. For me, I just think out of the guys we have, I need a little more in that final third. Bentancur hasn't been able to give it to us. Rabiot certainly hasn't been able to get it to us. Our 2 guys out of there that can, everybody thought it was going to be Arthur when he came, but Arthur's more of that guy, in the back that'll just, I see him as just our escape from presses, really, and just that solid possession guy. I still say we're missing a little more up top there. Jorge's question: don't you guys think that Papu Gomez could fit in the system? I know Parachi said there was nothing, but could be a good Mercato opportunity. I mean, right there, it's going to be down to quite a bit, really. I mean, I don't know, he's 32 years old, stopgap maybe, but again, at that point, you're saying that what's going to happen with Ramsey, we're essentially not going to play Ramsey or Kulusevski there. I think Kulusevski should not be completely out wide as one of those wing backs. I think that's just a waste when he is out there. I also think Kulusevski can't share the pitch, at least not on the same side as Dybala.
Yeah.
So there's a few issues there. But Papu Gomez, as far as fitting, I think he could fit. Do I think that's the guy, that's what we should do or whatnot? Not necessarily, but do you think he would fit?
See, I don't try to overcomplicate things, but I just try to think of them in every aspect and every avenue. Is he a great player? Yes. Do I think he fits in our system? I don't know, because I think he gets so much freedom under Gasperini that it just allows him to thrive in the ways that it does. And plus, he's got such great chemistry with Ilicic and Zapata. So it's that's what I'm saying. You can't just look at a player in somebody else's system and the style in which they play and go, hey, I think you work perfectly in our system. We have no clue. But I will say definitively that to call it a good Mercato opportunity, I don't know, because I think exactly what you said. He would be a stopgap player for us to get to who we need, but we can't invest $3, $4, $5 million into him, which is what I'm sure his wages would be.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, and I think Divine Favor Robinson kind of said about it. He's a bit too old for the new Juventus, right? We're trying to go one way or whatnot. As far as systems go, they play very, very similar at Atalanta to our setup. He does occupy a position that we are asking Ramsey and Kulusevski to now, try and make work. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good shout. It's good, but I just don't see it because, number one, if we pulled that trigger, I wouldn't want it to be a multi-year. Right. And Gomez is probably going to be looking for something that's a little more stable contractually. So I don't really see it happening. Real quick, Shout out, just saying hi to AJ, Idris, and Arun that joined. And Idris is saying this season we could have been on top with 5 points with a great coach, but with Pirlo, every match, even the ones easy on paper, seem like a final and hard. I think the players still don't believe in Pirlo. I don't think it's not believing in Pirlo. I think I actually have been saying all the time, I think you can see it too, that he has the players on his side. I think, again, we're still waiting for more questions to be answered, and we're waiting for still a couple guys to pick it up. Dybala has been nowhere near where he needs to be. We suffer a lot. We talked about earlier when Morata is not in the lineup. Kulusevski needs to find a home quick. Cuadrado has been run like ragged, like there's no coverage there. Chiesa, I think, is going to be the guy that's going to be able to give us both sides, which ended up being huge. You see a lot of Juventini flipping the script on their thoughts of Chiesa now that he's going with us. I think there's a number of things, but I don't think that the players don't believe in Pirlo. I think, getting De Ligt back was huge. We all see the difference there. We needed that guy back. I still say we need Demiral as well, just to get a little bit more of a mix back there. Bonucci's been off the mark. That's putting it very, very lightly defensively. So I think there's a lot of things there. But I think as far as players' belief in Pirlo, I think the players believe in Pirlo and that he's got them on their side. Would you agree with that, Eric?
I do. And I think you actually made mention of this, is that I think he's so much on some of their sides. And what I mean by that is I think he's a little bit too buddy with them. So I think he's been able to round up the troops, and I think he's been able to kind of get them behind him and believe in him. Some of them a little too much. So yeah, he overuses some players. But I don't think belief is an issue.
Yeah. Arun asks, Al, shouldn't we play a simple 4-3-3 today because of lack of strikers on the bench? I was shouting for a 4-3-3 for quite some time. And I'm starting to grow on Pirlo's setup and how it works. Because when it's good, it's miles ahead of what we've seen for several years now when it's working. I think he's a couple tweaks away, or even just a couple guys finding homes away from something really, really good. The key is that 9. We suffer when Morata's not in there. So if we go to a 4-3-3, is that all of a sudden resolved? I see the same problem, to be honest. I mean, Ronaldo, when he plays up top, he gets isolated and he can't really do it. He's just that guy. He plays with a lot of freedom, and it works. And you just got to have that 4-3-3. My question immediately would be: are we going to engage the wing backs the same way that we are doing it currently in Pirlo's setup? I think we end up into that issue where we weren't getting enough support because we were always worried about stretching out the midfield and getting caught defensively. So I don't know. It would be a tough thing to also try and do, I think, right now, because he's committed. One thing you got to say about Pirlo is he's stuck to his guns on this thing. And I don't necessarily know if switching it up all of a sudden would be a good idea. What do you think, Eric?
Well, I think the argument about stretching our midfield is kind of null and void, because there are matches where our players get stretched and we're pretty open in the middle. But, we're a team full of ample wingers. So to be honest with you, I kind of thought a 4-3-3 would kind of suffice during the period in which maybe Paulo was injured. Yeah. Because, you could run Juan up top, Chiesa, Kulusevski, Bernardeschi. I mean, we have ample people that could run up the wings. You could even go 4-3-3, false 9, and kind of keep a little bit our forwards a little bit more central. So like a player like Chiesa and Ronaldo could stay forward with somebody in the middle, Ramsey, Kulusevski. I mean, there are combinations in the 4-3-3 that I think we could make work. But And you're right about the overlap with the wing backs, which is what we lacked in the previous 4-3-3s. The wing backs or the right back and left back didn't get involved. They didn't overlap. I think they would. And then if you add in Chiesa's very direct style of play, his attacking style, getting forward, I don't think it would leave Ronaldo isolated as much, because you would finally have a guy who would spend as much time up there with him to keep him forward.
Yeah. I mean, there's question marks there for sure. I was given a shout for 4-3-3 because you're right. The profiles we have, it could work. My concern is at fullback, and especially for a while there, even not having Sandro, right? So it's tough. What do we have here? We've got Raphael putting in, Pirlo knows what he wants. The way he speaks about the midfield profiles we have, I'm positive he will come clean once he gets his players. His persistence on signing Pogba and Locatelli is proof. Pogba, that's the big one right now, and even Locatelli. I mean, Locatelli's great. I think. Yeah, he's. I see him as that quarterback type. I see Pogba more that guy that would be on the left, and having that freedom to move forward, And I see Pogba honestly being able to do more damage than Ramsey. To be honest, if we played him in the way we wanted Ramsey to, which was coming in behind the forwards there, because Pogba's got an incredible shooting range. Yeah. He's got the vision that we lack, and. Yeah, I know where people stand. There's a lot of personal bias out there in people I speak to about Pogba coming back because of how it went down when he left, and then the words he says, and then there's a lot of personal bias there. I think as far as the player is concerned, I've always liked Pogba, and I think he's a game changer. So if it were to come down and Pogba comes back, I would welcome that happily, to be honest. Locatelli, I like Locatelli. I think you have two completely different styles there in those two guys. Both would be solid, in my opinion. You want to touch on Locatelli and Pogba there, Eric?
To me, it just seems financially not plausible to me to get both of them. Just in my mind, right off the bat.
Definitely not both.
Right. So that's the thing is, like, in my mind, it's just a matter of, like, you're going to get one or you're going to get the other. So you have a guy in Pogba who's kind of struggled a little bit at Man U, still has a shit ton of talent in him. And every once in a while he breaks it out just to, remind you what he can do. And then you got Locatelli who's playing at a phenomenal level. He's much younger. He's probably going to be worth the same, but that one's tough, man, because you have a lot of people who think that Pogba is still just a shell of himself. He's not the same Pogba he was 5 years ago. To some degree, I've always said that this is not the same Pogba that left. So how he would affect the team and how he would play, all those other things. I think when you stack him up to Locatelli, to me personally, I give the edge to Manuel just because he's younger. He's probably going to cost the same, so you're going to get a little bit better bang for your buck. And to me, he's kind of, if you want to talk about a missing piece, he's the guy that can really dictate the field. And to me, that's a little bit more important, in my personal opinion, that's a little bit more important than a guy who can kind of come up the flank and shoot from outside the box. Because if we have a guy who can dictate, I feel like attacking in the final third is going to kind of fix itself.
Yeah. But I think Arthur is kind of that guy. And could be that guy. I also think Bentancur could kind of be that guy, and we kind of forget about Bentancur too, and we're almost like I think as far as just dictating and getting that to your guys up on each side, Pogba, whether it be Pogba that join or whatnot, we kind of forget about these guys. Bentancur keeps every season. It's like we wait and we're like, okay, breakthrough, and then it's like, oh, well, we just added these guys, and he's kind of down a bit more. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. I think for sure, though, it's going to be one of Pogba or Locatelli. Like, one of these guys is coming for sure. I don't know about both. I think Raphael was putting in here that we're going to get both. He got Locatelli as a given, he feels. whether in summer or January, he's sure it'll happen. Pogba depends on the finances involved on other teams in from. If we get both, pumped. But
my thing is like, what are we sacrificing to get both of them? But another thing too is obviously, the better he's playing under, De Zerbi at Sassuolo, Milan's going to see that. And given the way that Milan's playing right now and their potential and their ceiling, and they may say, no, we want to keep him.
Yeah, Locatelli's, I think he's publicly been pretty hot about Juve. I think there was, you could see when the links were there, and speaking about how it's an honor or whatnot. I think honestly, if the choices came down, I think he'd be a Juve guy, which would be stellar. AJ puts in, Pogba won't have the 2015 midfield around him though. So it may look more like the United Pogba, not like the 2015 Juve Pogba. So, man,
I don't know, because you got McKinney, who's very Vidal-esque, and then you have a guy. I don't know if Arthur would be, but you have a guy like Arthur who could probably kind of be his own Pirlo, if you will. Like I don't want to disrespect anybody by that, but
I'm kind of with you on that. Like when I look at this, because we got to be somewhat honest here. Like, Man U's been shit, and Pogba. Again, everybody's just saying, "Oh, this Man U Pogba, we're not." But like, even if you look statistically and you watch those games, like right now he's struggling, and whatever it is, if they're talking about the COVID thing, contracts up, whatever, but. For his tenure there, he's been the guy that stuck out. Like any Man U, when I'm watching or whatnot, he stands out, and he's been great. And he's been great with the national side as well. He's a solid player, in my opinion. And honestly, I don't think there'd be issues there. I think, again, it's more about the unit. And there, Man U's a dumpster fire, and they had nothing in there. I mean, the first good guy, like guys were leaving as Pogba went in.
Yeah.
And then they started bringing back guys, but like now Fernandez has been great. So he's got some assistance in there and whatnot. But for the most part, I'm not concerned about whether or not Pogba would be able to contribute like he did back in 2015. I wouldn't be concerned about that. One thing I did want to touch on, and obviously it was going to be with Lewis originally. Lewis, wake up, man. Jesus, 9 a.m. over there. Come on, bro.
Long night, apparently.
Bernardeschi rumors.
Oh, well, you're asking the right fucking guy for this.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if I was talking to you with it or it was just my last podcast, but I found it strange. Yeah, I found it strange how Bernardeschi was on this uptick. This upswing, it's doing great. And then all of a sudden we just got Berna like 5 minutes, 10 minutes late and I'm thinking, what's going on? Then these rumors creep up and I'm thinking, man, are they just trying to protect him from getting injured or something? And are they going to use him as his chip, or is there a move happening? So it's really, really interesting. And I just kind of, if anybody is the right guy to touch on Bernardeschi and this, it's you. But what do you think?
I was with you on this. Like the whole thing seems so fucking awkward to me. Like it's not a matter of whether or not like he should or shouldn't. It's been so quiet. It kind of just came out of left field. And you're right. When Chiesa had his little tweak there and he was out for a few weeks, I thought Bernardeschi came in and he filled in great. I thought he just started to put a string of matches together, probably the longest string of matches that he played well since he's been with this team, except maybe in 2016 when he got first signed. So I just thought the timing of it was off, because it's like if you're going to get rid of a player like him, you would have done that already. So he comes in, starts to play well, and then now you see him getting subbed in on the in the 90th minute. So I was pretty upset because I thought, he's starting to finally show some quality. Why are you running Chiesa 90 minutes every single match after you've talked about how rotation is important. We got to keep guys, rested. So I'm pretty dumbfounded at the idea. I don't even know where he would go because apparently Berardi's linked with Milan, and I think Milan would be the only real suitable place for him, or at least that's where he would accept. So I don't know. I want him to stay. Obviously, I think he needs to be an option 2 for Sandro. Just like Chiesa needs to be option 2 for Juan. We need depth. So I don't know. Let's see if he can make it to February. If he makes it to February, I think he'll close out the season, obviously. And then I imagine he'll leave in the summer, though.
Yeah, I would say in the summer, yes. I think January, like it's been rumored now, is far too soon.
Yeah.
I don't like the January move of him. I'm going to put this out to everybody joining us right now. Like, Berna in January leaving, like, are you fine with that? I mean, obviously it would depend on what this move is, what it does for us and whatnot. But honestly, a lot of it depends too on, you got to start thinking about this. Ramsey's health is always an issue and concern. Our team health in general, we just get so many injuries, right? The other thing is when you look at the wingback scenario and the center back scenario, Sandro has to start being used as one of those CBs. Chiellini cannot stay healthy. Bonucci's got to start actually fucking playing D. Demiral, I'm concerned because he got injured so fast after coming back twice.
Yeah.
Came back, got injured, healed up in like 10 days, went back, played, got injured again. So there's a lot of shifting there. And then again, you factor in Kulusevski needing to find a home. I don't think I move Bernardeschi in January. That's just me. Like I don't think I go that route. And yeah, it's a weird one that crept up there while he was in form, and I'm thinking, man, that's a cash out scenario or try to do something. But at the same time, we're battling the same things that we were before when it comes to finances and loss of revenue and whatnot. So is anybody really buying? So like I would have to think like our deals just going to be swap deals still.
Yeah, and see,
and it's like, what's the swap? Like, what are we doing, right? So it'll be interesting. Raphael puts in, I think it'll be one of either him or Fabota leaving, but it thinks Berna will leave because they'll free up more funds of a bigger signing in return. Yeah, I'm just not sure on the January. That's all, just in terms of this team.
I think Fabota will leave too, but I think people forget just how low on the totem pole Bernardeschi's pay actually is. Like in terms of just their yearly wages. He's actually like third from the bottom. I think the only person who makes less than him is Bentancur. I think Bentancur makes like $3.5 million, and then Bernardeschi is only pulling $4 million. So there is a ginormous group of people that pull way more wages than Bernardeschi does. So to me, it doesn't mean it's not releasing much, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. RB comps. I see the Del Piero jersey and picks in the back. Where the hell are the Khedira, Bender, and Burner picks, buddy? There's a Hall of Fame for guys like Khedira and Bender.
Yeah, there's a star. He doesn't need a jersey.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, yeah, the Bernardeschi one, that kind of worked out better having you on there. I agree with you. I don't think January's the time, personally, but I mean, it's been coming for a while. I think the move is imminent, but it's just finally started to kind of find himself again. So, yeah. See, and honestly, I think he would do well at one of those clubs you mentioned. I think he would actually do well there. I think maybe it was a bit too much too soon almost, and never really given him the continuity that he needed, I think, early on. And I feel like we've done that with quite a few guys at Juve. And it's so funny because we were touching on it earlier in my thoughts about having square pieces, putting them in circular locations. And I don't know, man. Berna was kind of that guy where it was just like this piece was everywhere for a while, and you're just like, man, try to get him in some rhythm, try and do something. But we were doing that a lot. For Christ's sake, we had Mandzukic as a winger. Would anybody have ever thought,
Right.
And it just that's the way it was for Juve for a while. I think we, as well as Allegri did, that was one of the things was, he'd put guys in these positions, and it worked. Like, we would win and whatnot, and but when you're looking at it, sometimes you can't help but laugh on paper sometimes, because you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, you took an attacking midfield player and you put him as one of the pivots in a 2-man midfield, and it fucking worked. And you're just like, what? But it's just one of the ways it was going for us. But now I truly believe Pirlo's onto something. I like where it's going. I think there's a lot of potential there. We were talking about Kulusevski possibly being tried out as trequartista in that Ramsey-esque role today. Obviously, Parma Juve today. Guys, get your predictions in. Everybody joining us, but expected lineup. Expected that Buffon's going to get the start. Bonucci, De Ligt, Danilo, and Sandro, the back. Chiesa on the right side. Ramsey on the left. McKennie and Benta also in the midfield, with Morata and Ronaldo up top. So essentially, looking at this on paper now, that I feel a little more comfortable in what Pirlo's going to do. Before, it was a big guessing game every match. You're like, what the hell are we going to do? It looks like with Cuadrado getting a rest, they'll swing it left side. So Ramsey will sneak up from the left side. Sandro will fill in at left wing back. Danilo, Bonucci, De Ligt will stay 3 across the back, with Chiesa being the right wing back. Bentancur, McKennie fill the midfield. Morata, Ronaldo up top. I like it personally. I'm a big fan of Chiesa. I think he's stronger on the right, and I think he's miles ahead from the right side to the left. Ramsey will be a question mark. We'll see how he can do, but there's also shouts that Kulusevski plays there. I want to see Kulusevski. That's my one thing. Is that's probably the only change I would make. Eric, your thoughts on this lineup? And we got some predictions starting to roll in. So yeah.
I'm kind of with you. I have 2 concerns. Number one is taking Ramsey and putting him out wide. I've made mention of this multiple times. I think it's an absolute mistake to take a midfielder and use him as this hybrid winger, hybrid midfielder in transition, whatever you want to call it. You have a plethora of wingers. Use him in that position. It should just be that simple, but it's not. So that's number one. Number two, I am a little concerned about having both Ramsey and McKennie playing the same side, and how that's going to affect the flow of the game, because I do think that they're both going to end up occupying the same space. They both end up making forward runs. So even Kulusevski, having McKennie and Kulusevski kind of playing that close together, I'm just curious to see how it works. I don't know if we've seen that yet.
Yeah, I'm curious too. But I think we gotta see Kulusevski try it. We gotta see it do there. He's the one guy that's standing out, like not having a set spot. Let's do it. I don't see it, if it doesn't work, hindering us, to be honest, in this match against Parma. This lineup, whether it be Ramsey or Kulusevski, there should get the job done. But we know how that plays out. At the Ennio Tardini, I still expect a tough match there. Luca Natale calling the real Slim Shady there on Kulusevski. Yeah. That's funny. He's playing in the hole. Oof. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Raphael calling 2-0 for Juve. Let's get those predictions in. I think Juve pull it out. Clean sheet. I think we'll probably concede. But I think Juve is going to win this one 3-1. I'm going to go with a 3-1 prediction. I I think Kulishevsky will be in that lineup. I don't think it will be Ramsey, and I hope so. But I don't know, man. This, like I say, it's more Juve battling Juve.
Yeah.
You know, and it's what Juve is gonna show up here, and that's kind of the frustrating part with fans is because you start seeing some great matches, and then you get a follow up that's just a dud. But for me, I can't help but still feel the duds are still better than the duds we were getting last year in comparison. Like, I will not accept by no means matches hitting the hour mark without an attempt on goal from Juventus. It's completely unacceptable. It's unacceptable no matter what your roster is. It's unacceptable with a roster like Juve's that we were going through matches last season not getting attempt. That was just pathetic. So the duds this year are still better. You can see the work that Pirlo's trying to put in. And I think we're along the lines of something really, really good. Positive breakthrough. Idris has really caught my attention with these comments on I'll miss Khedira. The hate this guy gets is huge when it's all the management's fault. I don't know. So Khedira had his seasons with us where he was a good contributor. It was good. Then injuries were just ridiculous. And the thing is that while he gets praised for one thing, it was hurting us in another area. And that's the whole thing with Khedira. But as far as hate, yeah, he gets some crazy hate. But the thing is, for me, it was never nothing personal. Like, I know he gets personal attacks and stuff like that. And a lot of players do, which is wrong. But the criticisms and stuff, I think, are fair. How this contract thing went down, I can't help but just not take the guy seriously as a footballer at this current time because, everybody knew his finances, whatnot, and it was a contract. They offered him a lesser contract. He didn't take it. He could have taken, say, $4 million out of his $6 million and still gone and signed a contract and played somewhere if he truly felt that way, but he didn't. Now, all of a sudden, he's coming out saying, oh, I want to play football. Okay, cool. Why does it, did he honestly believe he was going to break into the line? I don't think so for a second. And you got some people trying to play it off that way that he was going to he wanted to make an impact on the team or not. I don't see it for a second. I think it was a contract thing. He was trying to get as much as possible. AJ, man, trying to kill my vibe at 6 a.m. here. We'll lose this game. 1-0. Pirlo will be sacked. Allegri will be brought back. Khedira then extends. We then go all the way to win the triple. Just kidding. You imagine.
Fucking April. Fucking fools.
What an imagination.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's good. Eric, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, everybody who's joined the live. I know you're not a predictions guy, but I don't care so much about score. But if you think Juve gets the job done today?
Actually, me and you had the same score line. I actually think that we're going to win 3-1.
Nice. There you go. Well, Eric, awesome. You could join me. Lewis, what the hell, man? Come on. Sort your shit out, pal. You got to wake up, buddy. Thanks everybody who joined. Enjoy the match. I got a first timer joining me for the post-match podcast. It's going to be a great one. I hope you all enjoy the match, and yeah, stay tuned. Follow the channel. Hit your reminders because we're going to be doing these lives probably on match days or the night prior and hash out some news. So thanks everybody. Enjoy the match. Forza Juve. Fino alla fine.